Research Institute, I believe. We shared a little bit about his bio. Received his justice degree from Yale University, Stanford. He's been at St. Louis. He's written several books and has quite an impressive background, especially the one I like, Police Legal Advisor for the San Francisco Sheriff's Department, consultant to the Legal Service Program for the cities of Seattle, Washington, Berkeley, California, and the state of Alaska. With that, Don, welcome to the show, and we hope you're having a great day so far.
Well, I've been doing fine, and thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Am I being loud enough?
You are great, sir.
Hey, you're coming in good on this end, too.
We got word, I guess, gosh, we got so many of our people referring people to us now, Dave. I'm not sure if it was Washington you're fired, but we were contacted about you, and you are an advocate for the Second Amendment, which is drastically under attack now by one of the three branches of government, the Supreme Court. And we're just going to you, Don. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're so concerned about the Second Amendment, and we'll go from there.
Well, the Second Amendment guarantees the right of every law-abiding, responsible adult to have a gun to protect their family and themselves. And we have crime in general, and we also have the prospect of Islamic terrorism throughout the United States. And both of them mean people ought to be able to have weapons to protect themselves. There's the people who are against guns claim that the police can protect us. Well, the police don't claim that. Every survey of police administrators gets the response overwhelmingly that no, they cannot protect individuals. And every state in the United States has a statute or a court decision that says that if the police fail to protect you, you have no right to get damages against the police. The fact is you're required to protect yourself, and the only way you can do that is with a gun. A gun is the only form of weapon which allows weaker people to resist attack by stronger people, and of course the people who attack deliberately choose people who are weaker. You don't see criminals walk into police stations and start shooting because they know the police have got guns. They attack people who are weaker, and the only resort for people who are weaker is a gun.
Now, they're arguing right now that some people in Washington will argue that the Second Amendment only applies to the militias as sanctioned by the states. Now, I take issue with that, as Dave and I personally openly condone on this show American citizens joining militias. We openly condone that, Dave, right?
Absolutely, and beside that, Jim, state governments have authority over the federal government.
Dave, we're the only show in America, I think, that we're the strongest show in America in support of the militia movement, Dave.
Absolutely.
So with that, what's your response to that guns aren't for the private citizens, but for the military and the militias, as approved by the government? How would you answer that?
Okay. It's nonsense. Look, the people who are against guns, let me start out with the founding fathers in the 18th century. We know what they thought from letters, private letters, and articles they wrote, and so on and so on and so on. And nobody in the 18th century thought that the Second Amendment, that the right to arms, was simply about the militia. And nobody in the 19th century thought that either. Until the 20th century, when gun control became a big political issue, everyone understood that the Second Amendment was a right for every law-abiding adult to have a gun to protect their families.
Now, would you also contend that the Second Amendment may also be what, and people are going to find this isn't our words, but in the words of the Founding Fathers, they are nothing more less than the liberty teeth of the American people? I maintain everything that you said, but I'll add to it. Dave, let's talk about, or I'd like to get your comment on this comment from a Founding Father that said, not only are guns the liberty teeth of the people, but firearms are what keeps a free society free. A disarmed population becomes an enslaved population, and firearms are what keeps a government from becoming too tyrannical. Basically, it's a checks and balance to prevent a government from getting out of control. In other words, when the majority of the people don't agree with the government, according to the Founding Fathers, it's the right of the people to use their arms and then we're not advocating, we're just quoting what the Founding Fathers said. In other words, if we were to be rounded up for, say, Dave or Don, Dave and Don, free speech. Dave, we're out there protesting with a sign, and they were to haul you off into a FEMA camp. Dave? The proper response.
In the first place, let's go back to the very beginning. Okay. It is the right of the people to bear arms. It doesn't say they have to be law-abiding citizens, Jim. It says the people are allowed to bear arms, period. There is no ifs, no ands, no buts.
But the primary reason was what, Dave? To keep a tyrannical regime in check. Now, Don, would you like to comment on those quotes from the Founding Fathers? You think they're still pertinent today, or should we just throw everything the Founding Fathers said in the garbage? Go ahead, Don.
The Founding Fathers didn't know anything about genocide. They didn't know about the word, but they certainly knew that government could engage in terrible wrongs, and they thought that people should be able to defend themselves from either criminals or government. Let me say this. We are only talking about law-abiding, responsible adults. The tradition of the right to arms is a tradition of having people armed who are virtuous citizens, not criminals, not crazies, not kids, virtuous citizens.
Dave?
Well, Don, in the first place, every citizen is allowed to bear arms.
Right.
That is the way it's written. It does not say that if you are law-abiding, if you are crazy, or anything else. It says you are entitled to bear arms, period.
Now, Don, I don't know if you know this.
Wrong.
Go ahead. We like to
the term people only meant virtuous citizens. It didn't mean criminals. If you were a felon in the 18th century, first of all, you were probably punished by death, so it was really pretty irrelevant that you could have a gun because you were dead and couldn't use it. But secondly, if you were a felon and let's say Donald Trump lived in the 18th century and he was convicted of a felony and executed, and his heirs sued to get his fortune, the response would be simple. Felons can't have property. They own nothing. They can't pass anything to their descendants. End of story. Only virtuous citizens.
I do not agree with that.
What's your thoughts on the disarming of our American veterans, which the NRA did this past holiday season, the NRA gave America a very nice holiday gift, and that was a bill which they admit could not have been passed unless it had support of the National Rifle Association, and that was the Veterans Disarmament Bill. Now, some people say it keeps people that are mentally unstable from obtaining firearms, but basically it doesn't go before a panel. One single doctor can make his own opinion on a phobia, any phobia, and there is no checks and balances on it. So millions of veterans are now potentially going to be disarmed by our federal government. And we do know, and we'll be right back, people, talking with Don Kate and the Second Amendment, we do know for a fact that the ATF, people, one of the most abusive organizations in America, they like to smash cats, has murdered American citizens. And this is an audio trailer from the JPFO, not JPFO, I was looking for a thing, from that we got on Ryan Horsley, who's a gun dealer that's under attack